Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name's Shadow Wraith, and today I'm going to be going over all the forces of evil from the Armies of the Hobbit book. Now, if you haven't watched my previous videos where I did the Lord of the Rings armies and I've done the forces of good for the Hobbit book, this is a quick fire kind of review aimed towards beginners, but obviously you veterans stick around as well because you might learn something. But the idea of the video is to get through each of the factions as quickly as I can whilst giving all their strong points and some, downsides if they've got any, and then I finally put them in a tier list. So obviously you've got top tier, medium tier, and low tier. If the army you play is not in my top tier, don't worry, does not mean you can't win games, you can't win tournaments. It just means you're going to have to fight a little bit harder to get that big W. Of course, this is my personal list on tiers. The meta changes in different countries, different groups, so it's just my opinion. Anyway, sit back, relax, enjoy, and we'll crack on. First up, we've got Azog's Legion. Awesome force, I love it, got it as soon as it came out. You've got fantastic heroes, two very killy heroes in the form of Azog, and you've got Bolg, of course. Both fight 7 monsters, strength 5 monsters. Azog's especially good at killing heroes with the I am the master special rule that always wounds them on a 3+ regardless of defense as long as they're a hero. And then you've got Bolg, strength 5 burly, two-handed pick. Yeah, absolutely bonkers. Stick Azog on a warg, stick Bolg on a warg, and they'll be killing everything. Of course, Azog's got his special warg, which is the white warg, which comes with 3 might on its own, giving Azog a whopping 6 might because they can use each other's might, will, and fate. It's absolutely bonkers. It's got 1 will itself, 1 fate of itself. So it's putting Azog up to 6, 4, 2 for might, will, and fate. Absolutely bonkers. But of course, they're extremely expensive. Starting out 165 points each, and that's Azog absolutely naked. On top of this, your army bonus is Master of Battle. No roll for it, you just get Master of Battle for your leader. So Azog with Master of Battle with 6 might, absolutely terrifying. The other thing I love about this faction is it's rather versatile in what you want to do. You can run a very elite list, so you can have both of the big named heroes if you really want. Gundabad Captain. You can have the Gundabad Trolls, which are extremely strong, high defense, high fight. An extra wound on those Gundabad Trolls as well, compared to the 3 wound normal Trolls we're used to seeing. And you've got loads of elite shoots to pick from. So you've got Gundabad Berserkers, the different types of Troll with different loadouts. You've got Ogres, absolutely crazy, and you've got a Catapult Troll. Warbats as well, especially good Warbats. They're getting a lot of attention at the moment with lists that are containing quite a lot of Warbats. But you can go on the flip side as well and go for more of a boots on the ground kind of approach with your Goblin Mercenaries. You've got Goblin Mercenary Captains, you've got your standard Captains, all relatively cheap because Goblin Mercenaries can pop out of pieces of terrain. And you can have a lot of them because they're 5 points each, led by a Mercenary Captain. Yeah, you can jump siege equipment, you can jump the enemy's camp if you're playing Storm the Camp. You can do all sorts of things, jump on objectives. It's absolutely crazy. I love this faction. It can be very hard hitting and it can be relatively fast with quite a lot of move 8 options in the form of the Ogres and the Berserkers, and of course your Warg heroes, and they've got allies like Azog's Hunters, which are all riding around on their fell Wargs. Downside to this army, obviously it's expensive, both money wise because a lot of it is Forge World only, and points. Your heroes are quite expensive, your troops are relatively expensive for slightly better orcs, being 8 point standard. Yeah. And you've got no shooting unless you bring allies. You've got a Catapult Troll, so if you want to convert one of them, go ahead. But if you don't bring Azog's Hunters or something like that, the faction, as on its own, has no shooting. What tier do I place these boys in? I'm going to give them... Yeah, we're going to give them top tier from all the lists I've seen recently, especially if you bring allies into the equation, okay? Because we'll go over allies later, but they can be definitely top tier. Now, their kin, Azog's Hunters. Azog's Hunters are really cool, really fun faction. Love the models. They are very fast, and you've got, in my opinion, probably the best fighting troops in the game because they're relatively cheap, being 8 points each. And they've got 2 attacks whilst in the infantry. Hunter Orcs are fantastic. Being strength 4 with 2 attacks if they're infantry is incredible. These are the boys I bring in as a kind of like frontline for my Gundabad orcs with spears to support, so you're throwing 3 attacks per duel at strength 4. Absolutely bonkers. You've also got quite a few named heroes that are really cheap, actually. So you've got Yazneg, 45 points, Azog, 50 points, and Thimble, 50 points, and then your standard Hunter Orc Captain, 45 points. Of course, you can upgrade them with Felwargs for 10 points each, stuff like that. But you've also got access to great heroes as well, in the form of Bolg and Azog. Yes, you can take them as part of the Hunter Orc faction, or you can ally them in to keep hold of your Master of Battle, which I suggest you do if you're going to be bringing like Gundabad Orcs with spears, which I would suggest you do. Your army bonus is you've got the 50% bow limit. On top of that, all your orcs get +1 to their shoot value. So yeah, all models get +1 to their shoot value. So instead of hitting on 5s, you're hitting on 4s. So that's really good, especially orcs. They don't tend to hit their targets, but these guys like hitting their targets. And you can get access to Morgul arrows. If you've got Bolg, basically, if you wound a multi-wound model, at the end of each turn, there's a possibility if they roll a 1, they'll take an additional wound, which can come into play sometimes. Now, the biggest downside to these boys is, of course, they're wearing t-shirts. They're all pretty much just defense 4, defense 5 for the heroes. So if you lose a duel, you're probably going to be losing an orc. But if you don't care about that, happy days. You're extremely fast, you can be shooty. Yes, brilliant. And allied in with Azog's Legion, Dark Powers of Dol Guldur, you'll be laughing. These are really good. Tier, on their own, I'd give them a solid mid-tier, but if you bring in the allies, like I suggested, they can definitely be top tier. Moving on, we've got the Dark Powers of Dol Guldur. They're a really interesting faction. Okay, so they can be bringing a bunch of stuff from Azog's Legion, Azog's Hunters, but they have their own thing. So, army bonus, we'll go over quickly. Whenever the Necromancer of Dol Guldur attempts to cast a magical power by expending 1 or more will points, he automatically adds an extra free will point to the casting test. That's really good if you're bringing the Necromancer, which you probably want to if you're playing bigger points games, and if you're running these as a standalone, he's a pretty cool model. He's definitely up there in the top 5 casters, probably second best off the top of my head, I think, just the pure casting ability, maybe even the best, I don't know. I think I'll give him second best just to be safe, right, because he's got loads of spells. He's got Drain Courage, Transfix, Compel, Instill Fear, Shroud of Shadows, which is actually a really, really cool spell. Basically, you've got the Ring ability. Your staff is broken, explains itself. Chill Soul, Sap Will. All very good powers. He's got a whopping 25 will, which you can use as Fate as well, because he's only got 1 wound and 1 attack, so don't get into combat. That's the thing. He is a hero of legend, but he's 250 points, which is a very expensive amount of points. He has got a one-shot kind of ability, similar to the King of the Dead, if you wound someone with his Mighty 1 attack. He is Strength 6, though. So, yeah, let's not sniff at that. Fight 7, Defense 8, but 1 attack. If you do wound a hero and they don't prevent it with Fate, he dies instantly. So, that's pretty good. Now we've got the Nazgul of Dol Guldur. These guys are fantastic. They're nigh on unkillable, especially if you've got the Necromancer. Because what they do is when you actually finally take them down, they've only got 1 wound each at defense 6. But if you do take them down, you roll a d6. On a 3+, the model regains 1 wound. And it is placed anywhere within 6 of their dead marker. So you mark where they died. If you've got the Necromancer, it's a 2+. Might can be used to influence this. And they all come with 2 might. It's absolutely terrifying. Okay, so yeah, unkillable pretty much. And they've all got their own special rules. I'm not going to go over all of them, but you've got things like the Witch King, who's got 3 might instead of 2. You've got Kamul, who gets an extra attack instead of 2, because they've got 2 attacks each. They're not normal Wraiths. They are Fight 5 still. And they've all got Heroic Strike as per the FAQ. So yeah, still got Harbinger Evil, still cause terror. And you can only have 9 of them. So yeah. The rest of the list is basically a couple of extra heroes in the form of the Keeper of the Dungeon, 75 points. He's a beat stick with Strength 5, Burly, 2-handed pick. 3 might, 3 will, no Fate though, with 2 wounds, so he will go down hard because he's only defense 6. Yeah, he's got some cool rules regarding rings. He gets a +1 if you're wearing one of the elven rings, which is kind of crazy. You've got +2 to wound at strength 5 against Gandalf, the white. And he's got a kind of tally, so you keep count of how many models he kills, and he gets better as you kill more things, or like getting reroll failed wound rolls, or causing terror if you kill so many people. Then we've got the Castellan of Dol Guldur. These models are fantastic. They are fight 5, and they've got 2 attacks, and they've got Morgul Blade. So once per game, you can opt to give a try and one-shot someone. Similar to what the Necromancer does, like I just said. But this guy's got 2 attacks at strength 5 instead of strength 6 with 1 attack. Yeah. They don't grant standfast to nearby warrior models though, and they may use will points as fate if they wish. So they've got 12 will. So they're really hard to take down, to be honest. It's all about staying alive with these guys. On top of that, you can bring the Hunter Orcs in, and you can bring Mirkwood Spiders. Mirkwood Spiders are fantastic. Always bring a Mirkwood Spider if you can, because you can, at this point in recording the video, shoot a web at the Balrog and paralyze him. It's a 5+ throwing weapon. So, yeah, get a spider into him and shoot a bunch of webs into the something like the Balrog, and yeah, he's going to be sat there drooling, trying to roll a 6 to come back. Tier-wise, they're definitely high mid-tier. I'll go high mid-tier because I haven't seen many of them at events. Some people use them quite effectively, I know, but I haven't personally seen them, so I'm going to go high mid-tier. If you've seen people use them more, tell me. If you think they're top tier, let me. If you think I'm wrong at all, tell me. Dark Denizens of Mirkwood. Talking about Mirkwood Spiders. These guys are pretty fun. I love this faction. I did play quite a bit with these guys. They're probably the second fastest faction in the whole game. Obviously being beaten by the Eagles, if you go pure Eagles. They're fantastic in combat, because if you've got the giant spiders, they've got 2 attacks each. They're strength 5, fight 4, so higher fight than your average, normal warrior. They've got poison fangs, they're rerolling 1s to wound, swift movement, so you're basically flying over terrain, and they cause terror. Downside, they're all defense 3. Mirkwood spiders, I've already gone over them. They spit web at things, okay? They're alright in combat, they just fight 2. That's the only real difference between the giant spider. And they only cost 20 points each, so that's really good. On top of that, you've got the Bat Swarms. Bat Swarms are absolutely phenomenal. They half fight value rounding down for all models engaged in combat with them. So this leads you to some really good hero sniping. So you either charge these in when they're in combat with your normal giant spiders. So if you've got a fight 8 or 9 hero, you've got a giant spider in there and a bat swarm, they're suddenly fight 4. So they're the same fight. Beating that, you can bring in your only hero option, the Spider Queen. 150 points for her. 3 might, 3 all, 3 fate. No fate, sorry. 0 fate. She's fight 6. Fight 6 is important because if she's in combat with any hero in the game and you've got a bat swarm in with them, you are going to outfight them no matter what. Yeah, it's really, really good. She's fantastic. She can spawn out broodlings, which I love. She's got monstrous charge. She's got swift movement, terror, and she has venom. Okay, she's only got 2 attacks, but 3 attacks on the charge, knocking them prone, which means you're rolling 6 dice against a proned hero at strength 6, re-rolling to wound. Yeah, she's got striker defense. Downside to her, she's defense 4, and she's only got 3 wounds with no fate. So yeah, but everyone can move 10 inches. So that's not the worst thing in the world. Absolutely fantastic. You can have Felwargs in this army as well. So you could do all sorts of crazy stuff with these guys. I love them. They're really fun. The army bonus is a bit meh. Basically, you can take spiders without having heroes and wargs without having heroes. What tier would I put these guys in? Let's go mid-tier. Why not? They can be mid-tier. They're fast, you can grab objectives. Downsides are you've got low defense, only 1 hero, and you're not going to have too many models unless you spam Felwargs, which you can do. Now we've got Goblin Town. Love this faction. Absolutely love this faction. I play with these guys all the time. Yeah, what to say about Goblin Town? Your warband size is increased by 6 models. That is your army bonus, so it can tell you what route this army is taking. Okay, you've got the Goblin King, who is an absolute beast, a fantastic leader for this army. He's 130 points, which I personally think is an absolute steal, because he's fight 6, he's strength 5, defense 5, 3 attacks, 3 wounds, and courage 3, which is a downside. Courage is going to be an issue in this army. He's got 3 might, 2 will, 1 fate. But he's also got an extra kind of armor save, feel no pain kind of roll. So each time you're wounded, you roll d6 on a 3+, you ignore the wound unless it's a magical power or elven made weapons inflicted the damage. That is fantastic, absolutely fantastic, makes him really solid. He's also got Heroic Strike, Heroic Strength and Heroic Challenge, and he's got a 2-handed pick with the Burly special rule, Causes Terror, Resistance to Magic, Cave Dweller, and you can stomp through your own men, so there's no keeping this boy back. It's crazy how good he is. He is also a monster, so you've got access to the brutal power attacks that all monsters have. Barge, Rend, and of course Hurl. Fantastic. Now past him, all the other heroes, you've got access to fantastic cheap heroes. So the named heroes are Grinner for 40 points. He's got 3 might, naturally. And he's got a swap with me action, so he can call it as a heroic action, spend a point on might, and basically you can swap places with a goblin within 3 inches of you. You can't do it with the Goblin Scribe, but we'll cover that in a minute. It's crazy because the Goblin King is a goblin, okay? It's, yeah, you can imagine, basically, Goblin King's been trapped, elven made weapons in there, Aragorn with Anduil, whatever. You can go, you know what, start the combat phase, I'm going to call swap with me. You can kill Grinner now, because I've already spent his might, or something like that. The Goblin King is now safe. There's loads of shenanigans you can do with this guy. Yeah, I love him. You got the Goblin Scribe. He's 50 points, and basically he lets you spawn in more goblins passing a courage test. Yeah, even more bodies. You're going to have a lot of bodies. Then you've got Gollum. I bring Gollum all the time because he has the 1 ring. Unless you go against someone who has the 1 ring also. Obviously, they take priority of having the 1 ring. But that's why he's in my list, because he goes invisible and then gets into combat with whatever he's fighting. Charges in with the Goblin King, and you can neuter pretty much everyone because you fight 6. I've killed Gilgalad with that combo. I've killed the Balrog with this combo. It's absolutely nuts, okay? Because he halves their fight value. And obviously you can't be higher than fight 6 because there's no fight 12 in the game. Goblin Captains, cheap as chips, 2 might, 35 points. They're absolute trash in combat pretty much. Well, yeah, they're okay. But they've got Heroic March, which you need because all your goblins are movement 5. Then we've got Goblin Warriors. 4 points a model. 5 points if you want to give them a 2-handed axe. That's right, you've got access to +1 to wound in this army with 2-handed axes. I think it's nuts. You get what you pay for though. Fight 2, strength 3, defense 3, 1 attack, 1 wound, courage 2. So yeah, they've got Cave Dweller, but this is what makes them so good. They've got Chittering Horde, which means they can support any other model with the same ability, which is all the goblins pretty much, apart from the king, maybe. The Goblin Scribe doesn't have it, obviously, and Gollum doesn't have it because he's not a goblin. Yeah, the king doesn't have it. That's absolutely nuts. So these guys, in my opinion, are top tier. Regardless, they've got low defense and low courage. They can counter most lists, okay? And this is how they can counter most lists. It's because you've got access to Goblin Mercenaries from Azog's Legion, which is the mercenary ambush. So if you've got a camping army that's shooting at you, Goblin Mercenaries can jump out and go, surprise. Okay, you've got siege equipment, they can jump out and say, surprise. Storm the camp, and you're slow moving, well, you can keep them occupied with summoned on goblins from the scribe and Goblin Mercenaries. I think they're really good. I think they're really strong. So, yeah. Then we've got the trolls. Okay, we all know the trolls. The guys that get turned into stone. Basically, your army bonus. You can have a campfire for free. Additionally, you treat the campfire as a banner. So, that's not too bad. You've got Bill, Bert, and Tom the troll. Bill is pretty much your powerhouse. He's 150 points. He's the fight 7 dude, strength 7 dude, defense 7 dude, 3 attacks, 3 wounds, courage 4, 3 might, 1 will, 1 fate. Yeah, pretty good. The campfire is kind of cool. So if you take these and their green allies or whatever, I don't think they've got access to any green, but as a standalone, they get a banner from it, and they get +1 to courage, so you can deploy it anywhere outside of your opponent's deployment zone. Yeah, you get +1 to your courage. That's not too bad. And resistant to magic. So yeah, that's pretty good. They all cause terror. You can throw stones, range 12 inches, strength 8, but you're hitting on 5s. So yeah. And they've all got their own special little power attacks. Things from extra wounding capabilities, like the mince and fine. So you basically have a roll off and then add your strengths, and if Bill wins, they take as many wounds as Bill won by, and he's strength 7, and he has got access to heroic strength, just so you know. So you could be strength 10. Yeah. You've got Bert, who's got heroic strength as defense as well with 2 might. He's 130. He can roast them slowly. When Bert wins a fight, he may choose to perform a roast them slowly brutal power attack as long as he's within 6 inches of a fire. Choosing any model, and they're set ablaze. So that's pretty good. And you've got Tom the Troll, who sneezes on people and halves their fight value. That's actually incredibly strong. He's 120 points. 1 might though, 3 will, 1 fate. It does cost a will point. You do it before you fight. And he's got Squash M Tajelli. Brutal power attack. Basically, everyone who is involved in the fight with him, not spear supports, takes a strength 6 hit, and any who don't die are knocked prone. That's not too bad, but I'd use him for the sneezers. The other thing that each of these can do is a keep them for later kind of thing. So instead of striking them, if you win a fight against a man-size or smaller model, you basically take that model off, replace it with a 25mm marker, and they count as being paralysed. So you get to paralyse people. So that's kind of good. So if you manage to win against Gilgalad miraculously or something like that, he didn't roll a 6 and you won't fight 10 or whatever, you can just paralyse him. So yeah. Now for the tier. I mean, let's be honest, as a standalone, they're going to be low tier at a tournament. So yeah, but they got awesome rules. So I'm gonna say you get a top tier if you actually bring these to a tournament. But I think they will round up to like 400 points or something. So yeah, whatever. Then we've got Smaug, Desolator of the North. What can I say about Smaug? He's a dragon. It's 1 model. Yeah. Okay. He can breathe fire and insta-kill things straight away. It's strength 9 fire breath that he uses for will. He gets a 3 point of will each turn. He can cast Transfix, Compel, Instill Fear, and Sap Will. He's movement 6, which is kind of crazy. But he has got fly, so he can go wherever he wants. Strength 9, Defense 9, 4 attacks, 20 wounds, Courage 6, 3 might, 6 will, no fate though. He can't be trapped, he can't be knocked prone or anything like that, which is kind of crazy. Hard to deal with him, but he is a dragon. Well, a drake, a fire drake, I guess. He's got the missing scale special rule. So basically, if you shoot at him and you roll a natural roll of a 6 to hit them, he will take the amount of wounds equal to the strength. So yeah. You still have to wound him though, and he is defense 9, so good luck with that. But if you shoot him with a siege weapon or something that's strength 10, he just automatically, well, he could take 10 wounds if you wound him. So that's kind of good. And he's got unstoppable, so basically you can barge people and everyone takes a strength 9 hit. It's nuts. I mean, on his own, he's not going to be winning tournaments, I don't think, because the scenarios are not designed for a single model to absolutely destroy everyone, unless you play Contest of Champions 8 times and yeah, the ones that just involve killing. But there will be scenarios at a decent tournament where it's objective based as well. But he's a fantastic model, and if you fancy having 700 point army in 1 model, go for it. The only other thing I can say for Smaug maybe is ally in some Goblin mercenaries. That is a possibility, because then what they can do is jump on siege equipment that might be shooting at Smaug. So yeah, and that brings your model count up, and if it's an 800 point, event, or 1,000 points, you can, and you're allowed yellow allies. It doesn't matter, Smaug doesn't have an army bonus, so if you don't care about the Goblin Town one, which you don't need to really, because you can bring 12 per captain, yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. So that's pretty solid way of running him. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this kind of quick summary of all the forces of evil in the Armies of the Hobbit book. If you think I put the wrong rating, wrong tier for your faction, let me know in the comment section down below. I love hearing what you think. And if you have anything you want me to cover, also let me know in the comment section down below. Because, again, I like hearing from you. Anyway, if you liked the video, do hit the like button. That'd be much appreciated. And if you're feeling especially saintly today, do consider subscribing. But even if you don't do either of those things, I still hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.